How everybody doing today? Yeah. All right, thank y'all for helping us out with the class and everything. It looks real good. What's the name? Olivia. Would you mind coming up and just explaining, what all y'all did to his head? Just real quick. Because I really don't know myself. I've been learning a lot today just watching y'all and listening to y'all. Mr. Henderson, Henry Henderson, master ball educator. I've been teaching for 14 years. And I've been practicing ball for 14 years and teaching for 9. Right? So I was involved for about 5 years just active before I became an educator. Y'all have a beautiful school, beautiful program. I've been watching y'all. Y'all are beautiful students. It look like y'all, have a lot of stuff going on in the school. Like some of my students have a lot more. So I want to give y'all kudos on that. Y'all are very well mannered. Look like y'all very eager to learn. And that's the best way to be, especially in this environment right here. So I'm gonna just turn it over to you real quick. Just let me know what you did real quick, and I'm gonna go into today's So this is a 2-strand twist right here. So you have a deep cleaning and then you get a 2-strand twist. All right. So now, let's say like if this was done in the shop, this would be the end of the service, correct? All right. Now, how much would this probably cost? What's the average price for something like this? What would y'all charge? About 80? Around 80. Yeah, and all of that. So about 80? And if you were to do the separate them, that would actually be an additional upcharge, which would be about anywhere from $10 to $15 add-on. It just depends on what you. Okay. Okay, well, the reason I asked that because what I'm going to be showing y'all today or teaching y'all today is how you can complete this service. Because actually, if you look, if you lift his hair up, he still got hair. A lot of the clients that come into the barbershop now in 2022, I watched the increase. It's a lot of natural hair care on top, and then it's barbering on the side, right? So what I like to do is educate to the point where you're not losing this money. Where you'll have a basic knowledge, basic understanding of just basic, simple, triple cutting and fading. That's it. Nothing extravagant, no designs in the hood and all of that. Just something simple to where you can fade, you can fade this down to his liking to where you can add an additional 40 to potentially $50 to the service. Just adding the fading or the cutting to the service, you can just Miss Dog, when you hit the record button, if you don't mind, hit the record button for me. No, don't worry about it. And currently, I'm in film school. I teach barber school in the daytime, and I help manage a barbershop in Durham, Renaissance Barbershop in Durham. And then at nighttime, I do film school. So if you see me with the film work and all this stuff, it's just an add-on to what I do. That's it. And I got 5 months left before I graduate. So that just ties into my jewel for today. Today's jewel or the thought of the day. I like to start all my classes and lessons off with something to think about is learn more to earn more. Right? So I'm a big advocate of learning more so we can earn more. If you ever want to increase your finances, just go learn something, right, that's constructive or positive that you can teach somebody else, and before you know it, you'll watch your money just go wrong, right? And then you'll always have another skill set that you can relay on or rely on if one falls short, right? So learn more to earn more. All right, and today's lesson for today, I'm gonna just go over some basic fading techniques, lining. If you can get fading and lining together real pretty good, then you can just about do any haircut or any service for that. All right. So then, like I said, I'm Dr. Ken Henderson. I'm self-proclaimed doctor. I'm not a real doctor. I just made myself a doctor. They say they say fake it till you make it. I mean, I feel like I'm a doctor involved. Right? I feel like I got an adequate amount of knowledge and understanding about what it is I do in this profession. And I don't think it's going to change to the degree where I'll fall too far behind in my knowledge and understanding about what's going on, and it change to the point where I just don't know what's going on. I'm always being the loop. All right. Today I like to teach from four different key areas. I teach what, why not, and how. Right? I teach all my students that right here. As long as you can explain what, why, and why not, and how, you can just about do anything that we do. Right. So, what you will be learning is the basic fading techniques and lining skills. Then why, so you can add extra money to your bank account. That's a real good reason, right? Who can stand to have an extra 1,500 a month in their account? Right? And I'm just exaggerating. I'm throwing numbers out there, but really, I got students right now in barber school that came to barber school with the skill set of braiding, but they didn't have the fading down pat. Now they got the fading to go with the braiding, and they charging like 150. I'm not making it up, 150 or more for probably about 2 hours worth of work. And that, to me, that's good money for just one class, right? So now we're moving into stylist money. You know, the average client that I have probably pay about $50, $60 for this one haircut. Y'all got clients that pay hundreds at a time, depending on the service that they get. The only difference is the amount of time that it takes. Because me, I'm 10 minutes or less. Like I'm just, and that's no rush. Okay. Why not? Because some people are just afraid to grow, right? Some people get comfortable, comfortability, right? And they just say, you know what, I'm good. I don't need to learn all that. I don't need nothing extra. I'm good. But what happens when your good is not so good? What happens when that good runs out? Or what happens when you can't get to your good, right? So like I'm good, right? I got a lot of clients I can cut every day. But what happens if my arm goes down? What happens if my leg goes down? What happens if I'm just sick? What can I fall back on? As of right now, what I can fall back on is my ability to be an educator. Not only that, but I also write books. I got 9 published books. I got music. I got albums that's out. This is my engineer right here. My nephew, he engineers all our music. So we got albums out. We got books out. So if I do go down, I got a little something to kind of fall back on, but it's not enough, right? You need to make more. So that's why I'm always doing something new or different to add to what I'm already doing. So the why nots, we try to stay away from these right here. Because you don't be afraid to grow, right? And don't get too comfortable in your own position. All right. So how? So you're saying, well, how am I gonna do all this? Just starting from not knowing anything. Well, to add a level of comfort for you, when I went to barber school, I had never picked up a pair of clippers a day in my life. Never thought about cutting hair. I started with a why not. I didn't start with a why. I started with a why not. I wanted to change in my life. Didn't really have no answers and straws to pull from. A couple of my friends were barbers. They came with some ideas, and I said, why not? And that why not landed me to what I feel like is a part of my life destiny. I'm in the position that I'm supposed to be in. Right? So it started with a why not. So how we gonna study how to fade like Griffin. I have a barber book. I'm not trying to sell you anything, but if you ever wanted to get this real quick, you can read that book. And the way God gave it to me to write it, He gave it to me for a student in mind. So it's for anybody. You don't have to be a barber to learn from that book. You can pick that book up and just basically read it, and you can literally go out and imitate what's in that book, and you can learn how to cut some hair. I actually had a guy reach out to me from Canada. He just went online. He likes to read. He went online looking for a new read, found my book, went out, and now he goes out and just cuts the homeless. I'm not making it up. He DM'd. He was like, praising me, giving me all type of kudos for the book. He never thought about cutting hair a day in his life. Got the book, studied the book. Now he just goes out and cuts. And that's fortunate. Right? So that's just a plus. If you wanted to, it's on Amazon. If you look up here, some of my contact information real quick. All my books is on Amazon. Just type in my government name, Kendrick Henderson. My email is howtofadelikelygriffin@gmail.com. Facebook, Kendrick Henderson, IG, How to Fade Like Griffin. Mostly everything that I do is on How to Fade Like Griffin or Supreme Intellect. Either one of those two names for branding purposes. I try to make if you want to find me, you can type in any one of those two names and everything's going to pop up. Everything that I got going on. And the last thing I'm going to show you up here is mathematical blending. That's what you get ready to witness real quick. And it's fast. When I say it's fast, I mean like I really take pride in being one of the fastest, right? It has nothing to do with ego or nothing. It just has everything to do with education, right? When I was out in Texas, helping my brother run a barbershop in Texas, I feel like God sent me this mathematical equation so that I can just be great. I had problems with fading at first. Fading was not my strong area, but then when I broke it down mathematically, I was able to get it. And just now I'm where I'm at now, right? So we all can count from 1 to 5, right? I'm just saying, I got some students that's struggling. No, all right, so it's just 1 to 5, but it's just the arrangement of the numbers that completes the fade. Now, literally, if you hit 3, 5, 1, 2 in that order, you're going to get the fade. Like you're not going to. You can go. My son was 2 years old when he cut his first hair in the hair. I know it sounds like a joke, right? But he tapered his mother out in the back at 2 years old. He was over 2, probably about closer to the 3 mark, but he was still in the 2 age, right? And he tapered his mother out. He got it on film and everything, right? And he just learned. He learned 350, 142 from just being with me in the barbershop. Just keeping it real. When he with me, he didn't go to daycare. His daycare was a barbershop, right? But he studied on me. Simple as that, right? So by him being around me and being in the shop around me, hearing certain things as a child, like a sponge he picked up. When he goes to the shop, not now because now he just like Fortnite basketball. But when he was younger, when we come in the shop, the routine is he set the station up, he disinfect, sanitize, disinfect the clippers, everything. He used to do all that for me, set the station up. So he was a barber from the beginning, right? And this joker knows 350 going for it. So I know if he can learn it, anybody can learn it. Right? It's not that hard. So I'm gonna go ahead and demonstrate it for you real quick so you can see, um, how easy it is for you to add this to this skill set right here. Add it to your skill set. This is beautiful right here. This is some nice work. I hope I'm not messing it up by pulling on it. Right? This is not gonna come loose enough, right? Okay. Now, okay, one more in front. Does anybody already have any prior cutting skills with clippers or anything like that? Any barber in the house? Who got that? Oh, so you got a little bit. Okay, so what you got experience with already? Okay, not yet, right? And see, it's all about angles. When it comes to cutting hair for barbers, it's all about your angles. Right? So if we see here, most of the hair that's left is around the sides in the front, along the sides, and then in the back. If you see it's kind of wavy, right? Got a little wavy. It doesn't look too. We don't want to leave all that. So when it comes to weight, what I like to teach is weight is like clouds to the sun. Right? So there's a lot of clouds. Look like a cloudy day. Right? You want to add some blending in there. You want to add some birds flying around, some sunlight in there. Right? It's just real cloudy right now. Right? So I'm just gonna comb through it, get it ready to cut. We're gonna go over the clippers real quick. Cause once I put the clip on, it's gonna be all down here. So really what I want you to do is I want you to just keep in mind the 351 42. I just really want your eye to see what I'm doing. You're not gonna necessarily be able to catch everything on this first go round. You can take mental notes and ask questions at the end or anytime in the future, and it will be made available for you. If you see what I'm doing, I'm just simply combing through the hair, getting it combed out pretty good. The two-strand twist on both. Your hair feels real clean. So the first thing we're gonna do is what? What's the first thing we're gonna do? We're gonna remove the clouds, right? We're gonna get rid of the clouds, the weight, all this bulky hair that he got on his head, right? We're gonna get rid of that first. So what I mean by get rid of it is we're not gonna cut it all the way. We're gonna do what? Cut it down. We're gonna reduce the weight. Right. We're gonna reduce. This is too much. Right? Too much density. We're gonna cut it down. Now, when it comes to cutting hair, don't be afraid of this little tool right here. It's only 7 parts. Well, listen, the cord is only 6 parts, right? And the better you know your tool, the better you know how to use it, right? You got a lever on the side, what we call the arm bar. It just simply moves the steel blade up and down, right? If you see me move it, it got shorter. If I move it down, it get longer, right? So you got a cutting blade, you got a blade that cuts the hair, then you got a blade that blocks the skin from the cutting blade, so it don't cut people as you're cutting the hair. So this acts like a guard or a comb, and then this acts as a cutter, right? So according to how you adjust this, it removes less hair. This removes more hair, right? Real simple, right? Not hard. A lot of stuff to remember. Then the only other thing to remember with this tool, besides knowing how to adjust it up and down, is to flick it out, or what we call bevel out. Has anybody ever heard the term bevel? Right? It's kind of like making an original seat. Anybody know what the original seat looks like? And you know the seat we got now faces outward, right? But the original seat puts it back outward and it faces this way, right? So we're going to be making the seat coming towards us, if that makes sense, right? Now you can either do it in little increments or you can do it in bigger scoops. So that all depends on you as a barber and how much hair you're removing. If I'm removing a little bit amount of hair, then small belly. If I'm removing a large amount of hair, big belly. Right? Pretty easy, right? Not a lot of information. Okay. Always keep a comb in our hand when we cut. I comb out the weight. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start with a guard. Now normally when I reduce weight on a client, I use a blade. The difference between a blade and a guard is guards we still have to guess a little bit. Blades are absolute. If I put a two blade up here, it's going to cut a two. If I put a one blade, it's going to cut a one. If I put a one guard on a one blade, I'm closer to a two. Yes, because one and one is what? Two. In math, that's what we say. So if I put a one on a one, I'm closer to a two instead of a one. Y'all get it? Right? So this little simple stuff to remember, right? So I'm telling myself I'm not at a one, I'm closer to a two, right? Which is a good starting point because in barbering or in cutting hair, we have a rule that says you start higher and work lower because we can always take off, but we can't put back on, right? So unless we do some, I can put back on. I got but it ain't gonna be your hair. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is just remove the weight real quick. That's it. I got the one guard on, the one blade, open up all the way, and we're just going to cut from where y'all got the perimeter of the blade down to the front. Cut through it. I'm going with the grain. Good question. I'm going with the grain just so that I don't take away too much weight. We want to remember, we want to leave some. So we can see a significant difference in the appearance of the overall style already. We're just cutting down the weight. Okay? Looks a little different already, right? Now these clippers right here, the cordless masters run you probably about, I got mine for about 250 maybe. They're a little higher than that. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and get you an expensive pair of clippers or none of that. Just get you a nice clipper that's easy to work with. This is very easy to work with. It's light, very easy to understand. So like if you wanted to add this to your skill set, I would recommend this clipper. It's very easy to learn. It's lightweight and it's made for heavy duty haircut. But definitely just get you a nice good clipper that you can work with and that's easy to learn. Some of the clippers that's out now just takes a little longer for some students to learn how to correctly cut with the stylus chill is different than the barbers. All right, so how we looking so far? We're just removing the clouds so that the sun can come through or breaking the weight down. Oh, that's a little bit. Looking good already? Looking good. He can go out shop like this, man. You know, he can go out just, I mean, it's better than what it was, though, right? I mean, no, we definitely not going to send him out like this. But even if you just did this to your client, doesn't it look better? All right? Okay. Not saying what y'all did didn't look good, because it did. It looked very good. But we're trying to take it to the next. Like, we want them to look as best. Okay, boom. Now, anybody ready to get into 35142? Y'all ready? It's gonna be fast. Andy's. I work with Andy's the most. Not because all right, so now what I'm going to do is a skin fade. You want a skin fade in chat. Yeah. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is just I'm gonna skin this bottom out and then I'm gonna do the 35142. Now if I was doing the shadow fade, shadow the difference between the skin fade and the shadow fade, we don't say ball because you see what I mean? See, as soon as I said ball, they were thinking about the head and everything. As soon as you say you want a ball fade, clients now when they hear the word ball, they freak out. So I stopped saying ball and I started saying skin or how much exposure, stuff like that. So you say ball, they just go crazy. I don't cut all the right? So the only difference is between a skin fade and a shadow fade. Shadow fade, I can still put a line on the perimeter. Skin fade, you don't have a line. It's just skin and then it ends up. So we're gonna do the skin fade because out of all the fades, the skin fade is the hardest. I got my clipper closed on 0 or 1, right? And I'm just gonna make the perimeter, or I'm gonna start with a stationary guide on the left side, then I'm traveling around to the right side with my traveling guide. If you see, it's just all it's doing is just skinning it down to the skin right here. If you notice, I got small bevels. I'm just with the small bevel as I'm putting that line in. I'm just lightly beveling, no hard bevel, right? Just very light so that we can get that hair removed. I'm just following the shape of his head as I bevel that line in. Turn this way so you can see this side. All right. So we've got the small scoops going because I don't want to remove a lot of hair. I just want to remove enough to make this line right here, transition line. Starting to look different already, right? I haven't done a lot of steps, only 2 steps so far. Cut the weight down and then establish the guideline. All right, so that's what we call cutting them down to the skin. Now what I'm gonna do is take the trimmer and reinforce what I just cut so I can get it closer. You just want to make sure you get it as clean as possible, right? That's why I just left a little stragglers, because it doesn't matter. I'm gonna come back and get them anyway. This side while we're here. Right, so I just want to make sure that beneath this line is clean as possible. Right? Go ahead and clean it up real good. If you notice, even with the trimmer, I still got the little small T-scoop going. I'm still beveling with my trimmer, just as I would with my clipper. Now one more piece of enforcement that I can use to make sure that it's clean is my shaver. Y'all don't need all this. All you need is the trimmer and the clipper, right? This is just extra reinforcement right now. All right, and this shaver here is probably about $25. This by Bakeless. They made them smaller so that they can just then they run by batteries, right? So if you do get a shaver, you can look for the Bakeless shaver, about $30, 25 to $30. All right, so now we're getting ready to get into. I got him ready. I got him prepped for fading. This is what I call just prepping for fading. Right. So the first thing I did was cut down the weight. Second thing I did was establish my skin line, right, which is my first guideline. Now I'm going to go into the 35142. overall fade. So if you notice, my playing field for cutting has reduced, right? It went from this much to this much, which is cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to split this in half, right? So now I got one level of transition here, which is skin. Then I got another level of transition, which is a lot of weight, a lot of hair, right? So now I got to make this and this go together. How we going to do that? We got to add a level of transition in between. Okay, so here we go. Now, here comes the three. If you look on the side of this clipper, how many notches do you see? 5 notches. That's where we get the 5. That's where we get the 1 through 5 from. You see what I mean? So you got a notch here, then it goes all the way down to the end. 5, right? Okay. So now in between the 3, so I got 2 notches left on this side, 2 notches left on this side. So that's why I start with 3, because 3 is the middle. So I call this the universal starting point. So I'm gonna put this clipper on 3. So if I go halfway on my clipper, I'm gonna go halfway on my space that I got to work with. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. And I'm gonna continue to bevel as I'm cutting. Right? I never just want a dry cut. That's a dry cut right there, and that causes a hard line. So you never want to do dry cut. You want to go in and bevel out as you go in. So I'm just gonna do this side first so that you can see the numbers working. All I want you to do is watch it work. Watch me not have to grab a guard or nothing for this fade to fall in there. It's literally gonna fade itself because of the numbers and because of the bevel, right? So that's the 3, right? Still looking good, right? Here comes the 5. The 5, I'll move it all the way down to the end, right? All right, here we go. Now, my playing field has reduced once again, right? So what are we going to do now? Are we going to split this in half? No, we're not. What we're going to do now, the stopping point for any fade, I don't care what kind of fade it is, the stopping point is the parietal ridge. Right? When you get to the parietal ridge, you need to be finished fading. That's the end line. Because anything after the parietal ridge, you start to get into what? The top of the head. You got me now? That's right. So you need to be finished fading, blending, whatever you're going to do by the time you get to the parietal ridge, below the parietal ridge. But above the parietal ridge, you start to break into the top of the head. All right? And unless you're doing bootsy fade, I don't know too many that want you fading on top of the head. So we're going to keep it on the side. Okay, so here we go. I got the clipper open all the way up to 5, right? And what we're going to do is stop probably about a quarter inch below the parietal ridge. If you notice, it's already blending, right? I ain't got to do much, right? I know y'all see it to the side. There you go. Look at it blending already. The haircut is almost finished. You can literally almost walk out of the shop right now. We just got a few more variables to do. All right? That's looking pretty good. Feedback? Not looking good. Need a little more work. Okay, looking all right. Here we go. I'm going to go down to the 1. So we got 3, 5, go down to the 1. Another rule in cutting. Anytime you go down on the clipper, you got to go down on the head. If you go up on the clipper, you can go up on the head. So just little rules. There we go. All right, so now I went down on the clipper. I got to go down on the head. Here comes the 1. I'm going to stay in the 1 area. If you notice, I'm still beveling out. All right? But I'm staying down here on this first line that I put in. That first line is just about gone already, or it's just about blended in to the skin. That's all I wanted to do is be the next level of transition from skin to the 1, to the 2, 4, 5, all the way up. All right, so now we're going to go to the 4. If I go up on the clipper, I can go up on the head, but we know this is a 5 up here, so I'm not going to go cutting the 5 area, or 4 and 5 don't go together, right? So I'm going to stay right beneath the 5, right where I made the 5 at, I'm going to stay right beneath it. 4 come right up, 4 come before 5, right? So I'm going to stay right beneath the 5 with the 4, if that's making sense. Looks like it's faded already, right? Now I'm going to go down to the 2. I go down on the clipper, I go down on the head. If this was the 1 area, then this should be the 2 area right above it, right? So I'm gonna just go up just a little bit, and I'm gonna hit the 2 area. If you notice, I still got my bevel action going on. I'm still beveling, right? So that's, we done did the 3, 5, 1, 4, and the 2. This is what it looks like. The only, that's right. That's the whole goal. We want that 3 to be vanished. So that's the middle. So if we get rid rid of the three, we know that the first two and the last two should go together. That three neutral. Now we got a little weight right there, right? So what do? We apply the good word. The word say the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. There it is. So what was the first thing I did? First thing I did was got rid of the cloud. Cut down all the weight. So what's the last thing I'm finna do right now? I'm finna cut down the weight that I built up. It's just that easy, right? Now the only difference is when I did it the first time, I did it with a guard on. Remember? This time I'm taking the guard off and I'm opening it all the way up. Right? Now when I come in here, I'm not gonna tilt on the heel. This is called the heel of the clipper. I'm not gonna cut on the heel because that's a deeper cut. Take away more hair. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tilt that clipper towards me off the heel, and then I'm gonna cut so that I can control how much comes off. Right? So here we go. I got it tilted towards me. Oh my God, look at that right there. Ooh, that looks like Saturday morning right there. They got to be looking good. Because the next side now, I'm not going to talk through the next side. I'm going to just show you how quick I can execute 351.42. Right? And this is how I get fades in the barbershop done in about 7 minutes. I'll be talking a little bit. Boston Celtics, my favorite team. We just lost the championship. So I might talk about 3 minutes away. And then run in. So that looked pretty good, though, right? That don't look too bad, do it. So now that the fade, I literally can send him out the shop just like this. If y'all got to this point right here, you had an A already. And I'm not just making it up. If you can get that man to this point right here, you already had an A. He's gonna love you already, right? Called barbers, and I ain't talking bad about barbers. We got some barbers sending fades out the shop right here, and they get paid $30, $40, $50, whatever, right? You know, they might not cut the client again, but they just got paid. I'm just saying, they just got paid 30, 40, 50. Same thing I get paid to do it right. So now what I'm gonna do is, and this is just up to every barber, anybody that works, right? We say that that's finished, right? But in my mind, I know it's finished. I know this man will be happy. But then I'm at the same time telling myself, okay, here, no ego, I got a brand. I'm building a brand, right? This is my signature. This is my step. So I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna just do a little cleaning. The fade is finished, but I'm gonna just go in and just do a little extra cleaning because I might see something that I don't like, right? Or I might see something, and I know one of my barber brothers that's just as sharp as I am might see it too and be like, "Hey, boy, you slacking, ain't you? You used to go ahead and get that, right?" But sometimes, like I said, we get comfortable. I've never got comfortable with cutting hair. I always want to see how good I can perform or how good I think I can perform. Right? So that looks just a little better, right? You notice I ain't got to do too much, right? That looks a little better. Good. You don't look too bad, dude. You don't look like this side. Okay. Now this time I ain't gonna talk to you. I'm just gonna just go through it. Y'all ready? Here we go. Y'all call the numbers out. Y'all call them out. Y'all tell me what to do next, and I'm gonna do it next. I just want you to see how fast we can execute 351.42. What's next? There you go. What's next? One. There you go. What's next? Four. What's next? What's next? Good job. All right. Remember, stay off the heel of the What number is that on there? The one all the way open. You got it on 5 or all what we call all the way open. All right. So I got a little bit of cleanup work there. Fade up. This is all I really want to do. Anything Anything larger than a 1, I normally go clip over the cone. I try to get out of the guards, because like I said, this is guesswork, and you try not to do a lot of guesswork. So you see students or younger barbers cutting with guards until they get to the point where they realize they don't really need it. And then that's where their time increases. They start putting out cuts a little quicker, a little better. I try not to use the word fast because you never want the client to think that you're rushing or anything like that. So I always have to assure them that this is just how I operate, right? I'm at this level now. I built myself up to be able to operate proficiently with my time, right? Now sometimes you sleep on this side a little more than the other side. It's a different pattern on this side to the head rope than the other side. That's why I asked you that. Sometimes you rest on one side more so than the other. Uh, the waves. So this way.
Nah, like boom, you go all the way around, straight out like right here.
So you might
Instead
have
of 360,
might have a cowlick on it.
instead of 360, you go all the way around and come straight.
So you about a 340.
Yeah, that's why I'm about to 343. All right, so now if you notice, I ain't got nothing but that little wick wet right there, right there in the back, right there. Right. So now I'm gonna come in with it all the way open on that 5, and I'm gonna just bevel it out, right? So that it can just start meeting with everything else. Then I'm gonna flip that clip over, and then I'm gonna remove the clouds so that I can see the sun. The sun is my blend. You can't see your blend if it's cloudy out there, right? You never see the blend if you got all them clouds up there, which is the weight of the hair. Right? How you looking so far, everybody? Pretty good? Okay. So then I put that one guard back up there for some cleanup work. And what I mean by cleanup work is just a little dark right now. I don't want it to be that dark. So if I want to get that density down some, I put this guard on, and then I just come in there and just bevel until I get the color that I want. When I see the hue that I want in that area, I move to the next area. Right? So it's all, you notice it's all downhill from now. I ain't really stressing or nothing. I'm just standing. Yes, ma'am. That's right. Yes, ma'am.
And you said something about the guards being different from
The blades. Yes, ma'am. And the only difference is blade, blade, 2 is a 2 on the blade. A 2 is not always a 2 with a guard. Because you always got to add it to another blade.
Some companies
Huh?
do have adjustable blades that you can actually remove and put on it, but some companies just have the guard.
That's right. Now, if you notice what I'm doing now, this is just a little technique I taught myself. It's called raking, right? Now, it's outlawed in barber school. Our barber school at least called students see us do it, and then they go try to imitate it, and they don't really exactly that's, and then they put a blotch, what we call a blotch. It'll just leave a light spot right there. And it's hard to get rid of. You almost have to take the person down to the skin to get rid of it. But me, I just know how to do it. If you notice, I got it set on 3, and it's all about controlling the clipper from the heel back here. Like I said, if I do like this, that's a deeper cut. But if I bring it down some, come off that heel, then I can control the cut, and now it acts like a hair comb to me, right? If y'all come a little closer, you can see it right now. I want you to see this right. Cause a lot of time my students be like, it ain't cutting nothing. He just, you know what I mean, showing off. But I want you to hear it and see it as it cuts the hair, but not cut into the hair. Can you hear that? Can you see it cutting? It's changing, ain't it, man? And they be trying to tell me they ain't doing that. Well, I'm just saying, they can say I'm showing up, right?
So are you ever on the heel?
Yes, ma'am. But really, I'm off the heel to the point, we call this the belly of the clipper. So if you notice this finger here is really protected. If you notice. I'm really rocking the clipper off this finger right? So that way, it's just a little level of protection to make sure that blade that's cutting doesn't sit on his head as it's cutting. So really, it's just hitting his head and just hitting the hair. Whatever hair is touching, it's just manipulating it. See, I don't really want to cut the hair. I just want to manipulate it just a little bit.
It acts as if like a finish here.
Mm-hmm. I like that. That's a good relation, like a finish, right? And now in barbering, we got away from saying thinning. Cause just like the word ball, they don't like to hear thinning. You say And you think you want me to thin your hair out? No, you're gonna take it. Right. Yeah, so we say reduce the weight or texturize. You want us to texturize your hair? Right? Okay, there we go. So that's pretty quick, right? Fade, how is fade looking so far? All right, so that's what I mean by the basic fading skill set that you can add to your skill set. That was pretty easy, pretty quick. I'm talking about, I know y'all can probably execute that. Now here comes the part that's gonna be a little tricky, but this is where your money gonna come in at. Because you can put a nice blend on a man head, or you can put a 35% blend on a man head, right? And he'll be looking at it like, oh, I know it could be a little better, right? But if you put a 90% line on the front of that 30% blend, oh, you gonna be like, oh, it's good. All he gonna see is that line. He gonna look in that mirror, see that line, and he out of there. He ain't gonna think twice about it. By the time he worry about that blend, he'll be back getting his next haircut. I'm just being for real. All right, so now when I teach lining or lining up a client, you finna see this go from one level to the next, right? I teach T's become E's, E's become C's. If you notice, everything I teach relate to something that I can pull up real quick. Numbers, I can pull that up real quick. Letters, I can pull that up real quick. The T I'm gonna be starting with is the T zone, right? The line down the middle, then come across. All right, so here go the T right here, right? Then when I put these lines right here, the T becomes an E. You got a line here, two lines there, becomes an E. Then when I turn his head to the side and I come right here, this becomes a what? C, right? So T's become E's and E's become C's. For I know it, he got a whole shape up, right? All right, here we go. So we're gonna start in the middle. If you notice, this clipper right here got two dots in the middle. When Andy's made this clipper, they split the blade in half when they put them two dots in the middle. So I know on one side I got a half a blade, on the other side I got a half a blade. See, just little stuff like that will help you with your haircut, right? It's not tricks. It's just little mental notes to help you stay on course, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these middle dots. I'm going to come up the center of this forehead.
How important is it to stretch the skin?
It's very important, right? Because when stretching the skin, it adds a level of tension to the skin to where when you make that cut, because hair moves when you cut. So by stretching that skin, when you cut it, it's going to be an absolute cut. The hair is not going to move.
Are you going to use to stretch the skin?
Probably the thumb. Come up, finger. Probably the thumb right there. Get it right there.
Remember when I did Lenny's hair, how I was telling y'all about stretching the skin?
And what we're gonna do, we're gonna preserve the integrity of his hairline. If you notice, I see like inconsistencies here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that I get rid of the inconsistencies without pushing his hairline. If that makes sense. Okay.
Talking about blending the hairline.
So I'm gonna put them two dots in the middle of the T, and then I'm gonna pan to the left. This is what we call panning to the left. Now, in my head, I just counted 3 times, right? I counted 1, 2, 3, but every time I counted, I made sure I only used half of this blade right? So now I know that I got the right amount I got 3 half of blades right there. I got 3 half of blades on that side. Y'all got it? It's no rocket science, right? Very, very easy to catch, right? So once I get my line established, then I can go back and clean it up. This is what I have to tell my students. This is how you stop from pushing a man's hairline back. Just go ahead and establish the line first. Don't try to cut a perfect line first. Establish it first. Then when you get it established, go back and clean it up and make it perfect. Well, not perfect, but make it good enough to where the client will accept it. How that look right now? That's not bad, is it? Right? How that look right now? Pretty good? Right? Pretty straight. You didn't see me pull out no pencil. I didn't draw nothing, did I? I'm not speaking bad, but we got a lot of that going on. But I'm just communicating to y'all is you don't need it. Right? All you need is simple stuff like keynotes. You hear me keep highlighting that I tell you I'm pulling from. That's it, man. And that's what I like to teach, right? I just like to teach the simple stuff, the basic stuff. All right, so now on this side, what I'm going to do, the same exact thing. I'm going to take these 2 dots in the middle, come right back to my original start point, and I'm going to start counting. 1, 2, 3, right? Boom. And now I'm ready to go. So now I'm going to tilt his head this way, because like I said, we cut on an angle. So you want to make sure that your sides are angled on the same angle. Not one side ain't sloped down, the other side sloped up. right? Then he has to walk out the building sideways. Once I get my line established, I go back and reinforce it. When I line up children, I count. I have them to count. Because one thing about shaping up a child, because you know some of y'all clients might be a young man with dreads, with locks, right, or cornrows on top, and you can still fade the side out. But when you line them, just have them do little things so that they don't think about what you're doing. That's right. When they're thinking about what you're doing, they try to anticipate your move, and that's where a lot of the moving comes from. So what I do is I mentally psych them out by counting. And then the parents get a kick out of it too, right? Because they child sitting here counting, getting their hair cut. I make them count. Well, I don't make them, but I just count in. I tell them to join me in counting. I say, let's count to 100, right? So while he getting that shape up done, he counting 1, 2, right? So people get a kick out of it.
So is that on one?
I didn't hear you.
Is that on one?
Yes, man. You talking about the line? Oh, you say is this on one? Oh, this your trim is just set on one level anyway. This is just it's the trim, and it's just on one level. It's automatically set on this just that one level, right? But as you see, the overall hairstyle is already gone somewhere different already. Like he on a whole nother level right now, right? And this is what I'm communicating to y'all. This is the money that y'all can be adding to this service right now. So the service that you can promote is braid and fade. That's the current service that my barber students are promoting right now while they're in barber school. And I'm telling you right now, I literally let them come to the school. Their clients come to the school. They literally do their hair at the school so I can monitor them and make sure that it's done correctly. And I'm watching them getting paid $150 in barber school. You understand? We allow it. That's the only school that probably allow that. And the reason we allow it is because they deserve to get paid for their work. Of course, they have to pay the house or the school what we ask, which is $10. That's all we ask is $10. You see what I mean? No, that's because according to North Carolina law, we can't charge over $10 for any service that we do in barber school. So we have to charge the max for it. Even when we do somebody's hair color, it's $10, right? And so that's why we say to the student, we're going to give you the opportunity to make the full price. Just pay the school what we're supposed to pay, but we're going to allow the client to pay you what you deserve to get paid. You see what I mean? Just to give them an incentive, right? An incentive to come to school, want to do the work, and learn more, right? And they really get a kick out of it, man. So now the services that they used to run from, they run to now because they know now if a client comes in, they can get paid for it. So one time where it was hard to get them to do hair color, now they want to learn hair color so that they can be ready for when a client come in and ask for hair color, they can get that full amount of money, if that makes sense. So it's a win-win for us all. If you really look at it. We get what we need, they get what they need. You look like a whole different person. And if you notice, man, I'm not doing nothing special. I'm just putting the clipper where it's supposed to go in the angle that it's supposed to go in. You don't see me stressing, right, or nothing.
So we can do this, or we can't use the blade.
That thing was hitting me pretty good. I got them set good too.
And all of this is on one.
Well, your trimmers is set on one level anyway. The level of your trimmer don't fluctuate.
Now, it was considered a steel blade, like it doesn't move, it doesn't do anything. You can't move it up and down. They have guards that come with them, some of them, but you can rarely use them.
Yeah, it's a clipper.
And trust me, the more you play with them, the more proficient you're going to become with it. If you notice, only time I use the full blade is when I'm on a straightaway. If I'm not on a straightaway, I'm just using that corner right there. And that's what helps me control the integrity of the lines that I make, the shapes that I make with the clipper. You can control that with your corners.
So the trimming be for like the face and
So do you have some of this on YouTube?
Yes, ma'am.
it's showing you how to do.
I didn't hear you.
I said it's basically showing you how to do it on YouTube.
Oh, yes, ma'am. That's pretty easy though, right?
I know.
But he had to, I know.
And my whole thing was I didn't want it to go fast for y'all. I knew once we got to this part, it'll be pretty fast because there's not a lot of information to cover. It's more so you seeing me as I'm saying it, you seeing it work like right in front of your eyes. Right?
Make sure you send it videos. Some girl said send it in the video. I mean, the group chat.
And then you just come in with a little finish work. All this stuff I'm doing now, you don't have to do.
Yeah.
Right? But
So what's the point of that whole little white line mark?
They do it so they can make sure they stuff clean. Honestly.
Now really what the white line that you seeing right there is really his skin.
But that's
No,
yeah.
it's like when
No,
you get
Oh,
that
when they put that pencil up there.
Yeah.
Because when I got my hair cut the last time, that dude sprayed that stuff of that black stuff. He put line everything. I was like, please get the alcohol and wipe it off now.
She stupid. He didn't put that on you, did he?
Yes, he did.
He didn't ask you?
No, he ain't asked.
Yeah, see, that's what we were talking about.
But I don't like that. That's ugly.
That's right.
Like, it look like a light concealer on your face.
That's
It don't
right.
even match.
They
Like,
supposed to ask you, if you want it. Instead of
What's
opposed to
that
just
for to
doing
make it?
yeah, to make it sharper too. It's just, it's a
Yeah, as a natural hair, that's the part. Or cosmetology period, you can't do.
yeah, we can't play with them blades.
That's right. Y'all can't use the razor still.
Yeah.
Mercy me. Well, that'll up
So
your
how
number
long
too.
is barber school?
Barber school for full-time students is anywhere from 10 to 12 months. Part-time students anywhere from 18 to 22.
And it's 1,528 hours.
15 to 28. The only variation is life itself. Like, some students start out strong and then they kind of, yeah.
That's my whole thing. This whole trying to do everything else in school. Right. It's gonna be.
Okay, let me get a couple pictures of you right now. You can let it down. How you look, y'all? Teamwork make the dream work.
Hold on, wait.
I'm gonna put you at
Hold on,
that.
wait. Take this. I take a picture of your hair.
Molly, let them get some pictures.
I'm like, stop moving. I can picture.
Yes,
He's
sir.
gonna go to the bathroom, and once he come back from the bathroom, we're gonna show you how to do it. That's the lock and reattach it. Okay.
Yes. All
So
right.
while you guys are.
Thank y'all, man.
You know where the bathroom is? Okay. Well, you go. I'm not about to.
Yeah, y'all better stop playing with me. I'm gonna get the big clip. I got a trimmer, but I been needed the big clip.
Okay.
Some more classes like this. Do you do them
In the bit, I do. I'll make it a point.
So, how important is sanitation?
Oh, to me? Oh, my bad. I thought you were asking me. Oh,
Sanitation is your number one.
That's the
important
number
thing.
There it is, man. That's gonna make or break you right there.
You always want to make sure. Okay. We can get a speaker. Okay. So whenever you have a client, whenever you have anything, you always want to clean up before you do the next step. So now we're getting ready to do his Insta lock. If I would have left it there, right? How would that have looked? Dirty, unprofessional. And if you started that way, you're gonna end out that way. You won't be in the shop long, and if you are, you will be in many shops. If you don't plan to do your own shop, because what happens is, one, you should never play with sanitation, and other companies or places aren't gonna play with it as well, because I don't care how good of a service you do, state board will close you down.
I don't know how many nail clients I got. I'm trying to get to the barber.
With braiding hair, you always want to pick up the hair.
Talk about.
I seen on, I think it was on Amazon, one of these little things that you can sit on the floor and you get all the hair, you kick the hair to it and it suck it up. Yeah.
That's cool. Not kick out hair. That's what we need for
She
that braiding
said-
hair. We need for the braiding
Yeah.
hair. When I be doing hair, y'all, I take my little vacuum and be like this all on the couch. That is annoying. It be everywhere. That hair, braiding hair fits to everything.
All right, so did everybody sign the sign-out book? Okay, once we read
I
this
did
lot,
put
we'll be
in
out.
my sign off from last Thursday because I didn't do it.
So, Miss Jordan, how much would you charge for like, what is it, the Insta-Lock? How much that usually cost? I know what she said, like $300.
It depends on which way you do it. Because you can do Insta locks like she did Brandon's hair. Remember how I showed her how to go through and start and then go back and pick it and retwist it? Or you can start the twist and then do like we're doing now where we braid it in. Say, for example, if it was an extension and then go back and pick it.
Right.
So it's more than one way to do an Insta lock.
I didn't watch her. I didn't see her doing this.
So what she did was she took the hair, she shampooed it while it was wet. She twisted it and started to lock it with the pick. Then she went back and shampooed it again. Once she shampooed it again, then she retwisted it and put it under the dryer.
To something like that, probably charge.
So it's time consuming. It's gonna take at least 2 to 3 days. So if somebody comes to you and want Insta locks, you say days. Yeah, days. Remember, it's 2 to 3 days. Especially if you got a lot of them. Had to leave. But I mean, even so, it's still gonna be a long time. So services like that, you don't want nobody sitting for 10, 12 plus hours. That's a long time to sit. Especially without food, whatever else they got going on. So it's better to let them know we're gonna do so many hours today, so many hours tomorrow, depending on what we get. You never want them to have the expectation of, I'm gonna come and get this service done in one day. It's almost like equivalent to bleaching hair. You never want, if you were a cosmetologist, you would never want nobody to come and think, okay, we're gonna take you from jet black to platinum blonde in one day. That's not gonna happen. You're gonna have to have 3 sessions before. Right.
I still need to know if I should cut my blonde hair off or not.
No, you can leave it on. You don't have to cut it. All right, so
Okay, what y'all about to do right
I
now?
need a towel to do this Insta lock.
Are we the only ones doing?
You know, everybody got put a little bit of oil and put around here for me.
You gonna do the witch haters on first?
It probably would be better if you do it afterwards. So I gotta remove it that way. You wipe the excess oil off. Go ahead, but you ain't got to look it on your Got your
I'm back here.
Where is your I'll let y'all work on those long ones and I'll do add in. All right, so you have your picks. You have the triple one, you have the single one, and you have the double. Okay? So this is gonna give you a triple effect when you're picking. Of course, this is gonna give you a what effect. And this is gonna give you a single effect. Okay? So what we're gonna do is you're gonna make sure both ends are open. This end is open as well. You're gonna take it, but you're only gonna take half of it because you're gonna need some to wrap. Right? So you're gonna come here and you're gonna braid it in. You're only gonna braid a little bit. All right. So you're gonna have to leave some out in order to lock it. So then I take it here. I come here and I wrap it up. Once you wrap it up, what's left? You wrap what? You wrap down. You see here? See how thick it is and how you want to keep it that way. So then you take your pick, and this is how you actually lock it in. You come here, and his threads go to the what? Right. So we're gonna go to the right. We're gonna turn it to the right. As we turn it to the right, you're gonna come here with your pick, and you're just gonna go through and pick it. And what you're doing is you're pulling the hair through to make sure that it sticks. All right. But as you do it, you're gonna turn it. Okay. Now, once I get to the part that I added in, I'm gonna come through with my double. Only solely because I want to make sure that it stays in, right? So I'm gonna go back and make sure that I wrap this. And I'm gonna go through my double and pull it through. Okay. Let me use the single one. Cause it's not wet, so it's gonna be a little bit harder to pop. You see how I'm pulling it and locking it in? So you see now, even if I pull it, it doesn't move.
So you're saying now it's like attached.
And you put it in a circle. And everything you put it in a circle because you're gonna lock it all the way around. You don't wanna just lock it apart.
So you twist it while you
Yeah, you twist it and lock it in.
I wonder why. That's what I was gonna ask you. Why do you turn it when you before you? Okay.
To make sure that it's locked all the way around. And I wanna make this part bigger. So I come back. And what I'm doing is I'm going on the inside and pulling it up. You see how I'm making it stronger and thicker as I pull it up? Because you want it to blend. You don't want to add it and then it actually then you want it to be just as thick as the other part. You see how I'm going on the inside and you see how now? Right, you can't even tell where it's been added. Okay? So I do want to go in a little more here because it is a little thinner here and pull it up some. And you see how I'm going in and actually making it more solid. And I'm turning as I go because that's how you actually create the lock. Mm-hmm. And you see how now, even if I pull it, guess what? It's not going anywhere. And you see how it's all the same size? So what you have to do is make sure you pull from the inside and pull it up. Because what you're doing is you're building the inside of it because you're adding to it, right? So you want to make sure that it's added.
Have you ever done a full head?
It takes you down.
Yeah.
And then as you, with this, you're going to go all the way down. And the reason I'm going all the way down is because you want it to be the same size.
Right.
And so say, for example, if you have a client and they have some that's bigger and smaller than the rest of them, what you would do is actually you would go in and do this. And this actually, you see how I'm actually taking it and actually making it all the same size all the way down? So it doesn't have a weakness to it. See? And now when I go in and I feel it, guess what? It's all the same size. Because what happens is if this is smaller and this is thicker, guess where the weight is? In the bottom where it's thickest, right? So I'm going to come here and tighten it, right? And what that does is I'm going to use my double for that. And what that does is that actually comes in and watch how it's going to change the size of it. And you do have to be careful because when you're pulling it through, you can't actually puncture your skin. Okay? So you don't want to be careful with it.
With it like
And you
forks.
see, and you see how I went in and changed the size of it? I don't really like to use it. I like to use the single. The single one is going to take more time, but for me, it's more easier to deal with.
Safety.
Safety wise.
They normally have guards, like thumb guards and stuff, but
Yeah. I like to be able to feel. And see how I'm able to go in and make it the same size all the way down? That's all you do. And you see how this right here is double? I just go in here, shake. And when I do that, and you see how I made that into one? And you see how no matter how much I pull on that one, it's still in. Yeah.
That was good.
You
You
take
can't
these.
even
Yeah, something like a stylist.
tell.
So you see what come in with this one. See how it's going in the middle is. This one. I like to personally go in for the middle because see how it's making it stronger already. You don't want it to be only done on the outside, and the reason being because then your middle is going to be shallow. And what happens is over time, it's going to get thinner. See how I've gotten it already? If I just pull from the middle versus pulling from the one outside, it doesn't take it out. And see, like I say, for me, because I like to hold the hair as I go, the individual ones I like. Some people like the double ones, you just have to, and the triple ones, you just have to check which one works. So it's more time consuming, but for me, it gives me a better effect. You see how now? And you can't even tell that it's double. And see, if you feel it, feel it.
But with 2 strands, you can't even see it.
Right, you can't see the two strands twist if you pull from the middle. It just looks like
For
one
real.
single lock, right? So you 2 strand twist it, and then you go in and pick it from the inside. All right. See how it looks like one lock?
Okay, so if he were to like lock your whole head that way, like
Mhm.
Risha did say, dude,
Mhm.
is he gonna be able to come tear it?
No, that's gonna have to be cut out because you're going in.
Right.
The pick is
That's what I was
actually
wondering.
designed to tangle it. So
Because I wanted to do that in mine, but I might want to come mine out.
all right, so you want to do the comb coils. You want to do the starter
Oh,
locks.
here it goes,
You
stay.
don't want to do that.
My hair don't even curl at the
You
bottom.
will, it's just, you have to have the proper product and the proper technique. Like I say, everybody's curl pattern is different. So you would have to know which direction your hair curls.
I don't have a pattern, man. I swear I don't.
Everybody got one. You got more than one.
I have a whole bunch of different patterns.
And see, what I'm doing is I'm letting it unwind so I can see where I need to start at. Right. Where I would need to start at next. And like I say, if you pull from the middle, you're going to have you one every time. And it makes it stronger. So you see how we're almost to the bottom? Okay. So if he wanted wicks, this would be what we would do. And this is how you make wicks.
I don't know when I do wigs, they have that like the bigger wigs.
And you just gotta pick them, huh?
I said with the bigger wigs, they must use the 2 or 3.
Yeah, with the bigger ones, they use the 3, and then what they do is once they get it like they want it here, they actually take the trimmer and shape it. Because with locks, you're actually close to after they get through budding, which is locking, like beginner locks. You're actually supposed to go through and cut off the excess frizz.